Lena Hart had always believed that life on a small desert ranch would stay slow and predictable. She knew every worn fence post, every patch of dry grass, and every peaceful sound the wind made as it moved across their land. But as she grew older, the quiet ranch began changing. Her father worried more, slept less, and often sat at the kitchen table with his head in his hands. Something was wrong. She could feel it long before she learned the truth. Their ranch had not been doing well for years. A long drought had dried the wells and damaged the crops. Many of their animals had been sold to pay bills. Lena tried to help in every way she could, waking up before sunrise and working until the sky turned pink in the evening. But even her effort could not stop the slow falling apart of the Hart family's world. Her father rarely spoke of money, but she sometimes heard him pacing late at night, whispering through phone calls she wasn't meant to hear. She could not make out the full words, only the soft, stressed sound of his voice. It scared her more than anything else. Her father had always been strong, but now he looked like someone carrying too much weight. One afternoon, Lena stepped out of the barn and saw a car she didn't recognize parked near the house. Her father stood outside with a tall stranger wearing a dusty hat and clothes that looked like he came from another ranch not far from theirs. The man stood with calm confidence, quietly listening as her father spoke. She slowed her steps. Something about the scene made her heart flutter with uncertainty. Her father's hands moved nervously while he talked. He never acted that way with visitors. When they noticed her, both men stopped. Her father attempted a smile, but it looked tight and tired. The stranger gave her a gentle nod, but his expression was unreadable. Lena greeted them politely, though she felt unsure. The stranger introduced himself as Graham Voss, a rancher from a nearby region. His voice was smooth and steady, and he spoke with respect. But there was an air of quiet mystery around him. Her father quickly sent her back to her chores, saying they had business to finish. She walked away, but her mind did not settle. Something in her father's voice had sounded like he was agreeing to something heavy. Later that evening, when the sun had already dipped behind the hills, Lena heard her father speaking in the kitchen. The door was not fully closed, and she wasn't trying to listen, but his words drifted through. "She'll be safe with you," he said softly. "She deserves better than the trouble she'd face here." Those words sank into her heart like stones. She stepped away before she could hear anything more. Her mind filled with questions. Why was her father speaking about her leaving? Why would she be safer somewhere else? And why did Graham Voss have anything to do with it? Sleep did not come easily that night. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, imagining every possibility. Her father had always made decisions to protect the family, but this time, she felt part of something she didn't understand. The next morning, Graham returned not for business, but for her. Her father took her hands, his eyes full of quiet sorrow. "Lena, I made an agreement. You'll be going with Mr. Voss for a while. It's the best thing for you right now." She felt the world tilt. Going with him? For how long? Why? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled her into a gentle hug, something he rarely did. She felt the tremble in his arms. "Trust me," he whispered. "I wouldn't let anything happen to you." Graham stood nearby, respectful and silent, giving them space. The moment felt unreal. Lena wasn't being forced, but she was being pushed into a choice she didn't truly understand. Her father explained that Graham had offered her a place at his ranch somewhere stable, peaceful, and away from the problems weighing down their home. According to him, it was an opportunity rather than an obligation. Lena could see how much he wanted her to accept. She could see the worry in his eyes, the silent plea that she'd give him this small relief in the middle of everything. He was struggling with Dot, so she agreed, and that was how her journey with a stranger began. Graham helped her pack a small suitcase. He treated her with quiet distance, not unfriendly, but careful, like he did not want to frighten her or make her feel pressured. His calmness made her feel slightly better, though the unknown still made her uneasy. As they drove away from her home, Lena watched the ranch fade behind the dust rising from the road. She pressed her hand against the window, wondering when or if she would return. The thought tightened her chest, but she forced herself to breathe slowly. She had always been strong. She would stay strong now. The road stretched across the desert like a long ribbon. Graham drove in silence for a while, his eyes focused ahead. Even though he hardly spoke, something about him felt oddly kind. His posture relaxed, his voice gentle whenever he gave directions or asked if she was comfortable. He did not treat her like a burden, nor like someone who belonged to him. He simply treated her like a guest he was responsible for. After a couple of hours, the weather shifted. Dark clouds gathered over the open land, and the wind picked up. A soft rumble of thunder rolled across the sky. "We need to stop soon," Graham said calmly. "Storm's coming," Lena nodded, though she didn't know what that meant for them. Minutes later, the wind turned stronger, swirling dust across the road. The sky darkened quickly, and small droplets of rain began tapping the windshield. Graham slowed the truck and pointed toward a small wooden structure in the distance. An old line shack used by ranch workers years ago. It looked lonely but sturdy enough for shelter. They reached the shack just as the storm began. Rain fell harder, blown sideways by the strong gusts. When they stepped inside, Lena found the space simple but clean. There was a small table, 2 old chairs, and a shelf with a few basic supplies. It wasn't much, but it felt safe compared to the storm outside. Graham started a small lantern, filling the room with warm light. Lena sat near the table, listening to the rain hitting the roof like thousands of tiny hands. The storm felt endless, but inside the shack, she felt a small sense of calm. Graham finally spoke more openly. "I know this is confusing for you," he said gently, "and I don't expect you to trust me yet, but I want you to know you're not in any danger." His voice carried sincerity, not force. Lena studied his face carefully. He wasn't hiding any harsh intentions. Instead, he looked thoughtful, like someone carrying his own heavy past. He told her that he had known her father for years, though not closely. He knew the challenges the Hart Ranch had faced and had simply offered support. During a difficult time, he also revealed that he had reasons for helping families in trouble, reasons tied to something he once went through himself. He didn't go into detail, but Lena saw a hint of sadness behind his calm expression. For the first time that day, she felt the tightness in her chest loosen a little. They spent the evening talking gently about simple things: animals, the desert, the weather, and memories from childhood. The shack, though small, became a quiet space where the strangers began to understand each other. Graham never acted controlling or demanding. If anything, he seemed to want her to feel comfortable enough to breathe. As the storm continued outside, Lena slowly began to see the situation in a new light. She had expected something frightening or cold, but instead, she found herself sitting across from a man who seemed more thoughtful than mysterious, more gentle than distant. When night settled, she lay on a small cot Graham set up for her. He made sure she had blankets and told her to rest while he kept watch near the door, in case the storm grew stronger. His respect toward her made her feel oddly safe. As she listened to the fading sound of rain, Lena realized she was stepping into a new chapter of her life, a chapter she had never imagined. She didn't know what waited for her at Graham's ranch, or what truths she would learn about her father's decisions. But for now, in the soft glow of the lantern and the comforting quiet of the shack, she allowed herself one small moment of trust. She closed her eyes, hoping tomorrow would bring answers her heart could finally understand. The storm had passed by the time morning light reached the old line shack. A soft glow spread across the desert, turning the wet sand into a golden mirror. Lena opened her eyes slowly, listening to the quiet. For the first time in days, she felt rested. The air smelled fresh, and the world outside seemed peaceful after the long night of wind and rain. Graham was already awake. He sat near the door, polishing a simple metal coffee pot and watching the horizon through the open window. When he noticed Lena sitting up, he offered a gentle smile, one that carried none of the mystery she had sensed the day before. "Good morning," he said softly. "You slept well?" She nodded. "Yes, thank you." There was something calming in the way he spoke, steady, patient, and respectful. It made the uneasy feeling in her chest lighten a little more. He handed her a warm cup of tea he had made using herbs from a small travel pouch. It smelled sweet and soothing. She held it with both hands and took a careful sip. The warmth spread through her, comforting in a way she hadn't known she needed. They stepped outside after breakfast. The sky was clear, bright blue with no hint of last night's storm. The desert stretched endlessly, dotted with plants washed clean by the rain. Everything felt new, almost like the world had taken a deep breath and started fresh. As they prepared to continue their journey, Graham glanced at her with a thoughtful expression. "Before we leave," he said, "there's something I think you deserve to know." Lena paused, holding her small bag. Her heart beat a little faster. She had been waiting for the truth, whatever it was, since the moment she left home. Graham took his time choosing his words. "Your father didn't send you away because he wanted to," he said quietly. "He did it because he thought it would keep you safe. Someone had put him under serious pressure, and he didn't know how to handle it alone." Lena's chest tightened. She had guessed something was wrong, but hearing it spoken out loud made her feel the weight of it more clearly. "Safe from what?" she asked softly. Graham shook his head. "Not from anything harmful, just from stress and fear. Some people were causing trouble for several families in the area, including yours. I stepped in to help where I could, and your father accepted my offer. So, I wasn't taken?" she asked, her voice a little shaky. "No," Graham answered firmly. "You were not taken. You were given a place to stay until the situation was fixed." Lena let out a slow breath she didn't realize she had been holding. A mix of relief and confusion washed through her. The past 24 hours had been frightening, uncertain, and full of questions, but maybe things were not as hopeless as she had imagined. She looked at him more closely. "Why help us?" she asked. Graham looked toward the mountains in the distance before replying. "Because I know what it feels like to not have anyone to rely on when life gets too heavy. Years ago, I faced something similar. No one stepped in to help my family. I don't want others to go through that if I can prevent it." His honesty touched her deeply. There was no pride in his voice, only sincerity. And in that moment, Lena realized that the man who had seemed distant and complicated was simply someone trying to do right in a difficult world. After a long pause, Graham continued, "You're free to make your own choices. Lena, if you want to return home now, I'll take you back. If you want to learn new things at my ranch, you can stay for a while. Nothing is forced." The words felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Lena stood quietly, thinking. For the first time since Graham had appeared at her home, she felt in control of her own path. She wanted to understand her father's struggles. She wanted to understand the situation clearly. But for now, she also wanted to learn to grow, to see more than just the worn fences and dusty fields she had known her whole life. "I want to help," she finally said. "I don't know how, but I want to." Graham looked surprised, but in a warm, respectful way. "Help with what?" he asked gently. "With whatever you are doing to sort out the trouble," Lena replied. "My family is part of it, so I should at least understand what's happening." He nodded slowly, impressed by her courage. "Very well," he said, "but I'll make sure it doesn't put you under any pressure or stress. You'll only do what you feel comfortable doing." With that new sense of choice guiding her, they began their journey back toward town. Along the way, Graham showed her how to guide a horse properly, how to read small signs in the desert wind, and how to stay calm during unexpected moments. He didn't treat her like someone fragile, he treated her like someone capable of learning and growing. Lena felt a quiet sense of confidence building inside her. When they finally reached town, everything seemed smaller than she remembered. The buildings lined the dusty road, and people walked around carrying their usual worries and hopes. Yet today, it all felt different, like she was seeing it through new eyes. Her father stood near their home, waiting nervously. The moment he saw Lena, his shoulders dropped with relief. He hurried toward her and pulled her into a gentle embrace. She hugged him back tightly, feeling the depth of his worry. "Are you all right?" he asked softly, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. "Yes," she said, meeting his eyes. "I am, and I understand more now." Tears formed in his eyes, not from sadness, but from the release of days of fear he had carried inside him. "I wanted to protect you," he whispered. "I didn't know what else to do." "I know," Lena replied, her voice steady. And I'm not upset anymore. Graham stepped back respectfully, giving them space to talk. After a moment, he approached with a calm expression. Everything has been sorted, he told her father. The people causing trouble have been reported, and the community leaders are stepping in. You're safe now. Her father nodded gratefully. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to, Graham said. Just take care of your family. Lena watched the exchange quietly. She felt a warm sense of belonging with her father. Yet she also felt a pull towards something more, something new. She had learned things about herself during her time at the line shack. She had found a kind of inner strength she never knew she carried. After helping her father settle things inside, she stepped outside where Graham was preparing to leave. He stood beside his truck, dust brushing against his boots as the wind picked up softly. So, he asked, what will you do now? Lena looked back at her home, then at the open road stretching beyond the town. She felt both comfort and curiosity, to emotions pulling her in different directions. But not in a heavy way. I'd like to visit your ranch, she said honestly. Not because I have to, but because I want to learn more. About work, about the land, and maybe about myself. Graham studied her expression for a moment, then nodded with a soft smile. You'd be welcome there, always. Her father joined them and agreed that a short stay might give Lena a chance to experience something new now that everything was settled. The decision felt natural, not forced, not rushed, just right for the moment, before leaving again. Graham gave her a small horse he had brought from his ranch. She's gentle, he said. She'll help you gain confidence as you ride. Lena touched the horse's mane, feeling the warm, steady breath of the animal. It was a gift of trust and freedom, something she had never expected. When she mounted the horse for the first time, she felt a spark of excitement. Graham rode beside her, guiding her gently, while the desert wind brushed against their faces. As they moved away from town, Lena realized she wasn't escaping anything. She was stepping into a life she was choosing for herself, one built on understanding, kindness, and the quiet courage she had discovered along the way. The road ahead was long, but for the first time, she felt ready. And in that new beginning, there was peace.